In 1992, Dr. John Coleman published Conspirators' Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. With laudable scholarship and meticulous research, Dr. Coleman identifies the players and carefully details the Illuminati agenda of worldwide domination and control. On page 161 of the Conspirators' Hierarchy, Dr. Coleman accurately summarizes the intent and purpose of the Committee of 300 as follows: a one-world government and one unit monetary system under permanent, non-elected hereditary oligarchists who self-select from among their numbers in the form of a feudal system as it was in the Middle Ages. In this one-world entity, population will be limited by restrictions on the number of children per family, diseases, wars, famines, until 1 billion people who are useful to the ruling class in areas which will be strictly and clearly defined remain as the total world population. There will be no middle class, only rulers and the servant. All laws will be uniform under a legal system of world courts practicing the same unified code of laws, backed up by a one world government, police force, and a one world unified military to enforce laws in all former countries where no national boundaries shall exist. The system will be on the basis of a welfare state. Those who are obedient and subservient to the one world government will be rewarded with the means to live. Those who are rebellious will simply be starved to death or be declared outlaws, thus a target for anyone who wishes to kill them. Privately owned firearms or weapons of any kind will be prohibited. Is this scheme to establish a new world order in fact a reality? Yes, it is. If you do not believe this, I encourage you to study the United Nations document and also the treaties which one ratified by individual nations become international law. The United Nations created the Commission for Global Governance. If you don't believe this, visit the United Nations website and look it up. The published goal of the Council of Foreign Relations, for example, is a one world government. And although most have never heard of many of these groups, they do exist and they are very influential. The core of these groups hold to Illuminist philosophy. A second focus is economics with free trade agreement. The International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the Bank of International Settlement. The coming global monetary crisis is intended to institute a universal debt-based currency controlled by the international financiers and used and issued to individuals against biometric identification cards. This is all about control. The third area of focus is religion. Organizations like the World Council of Churches and the Parliament of World Religions were established to introduce a new world religion. It is based on a pantheistic humanist philosophy. Pay careful attention when you study the document and reports published by the United Nations and related organizations. This philosophy is now being taught in the education system and has been implemented under programs such as Goals 2000. The New World Order will be socialism. Read the United Nations declarations and treaties for proof of this fact. The individual will be subservient to the state. Rights and power reside in and derive from the state, not the individual. United Nations document all speaks of collectivism. They claim that private ownership and management of property is not to the benefit of the human race. These things are cloaked in a pleasant language, and most people are taken in and deceived. Yet few bother to study this document. In the New World Order, you will be a serfdom to the controlling elite. You will have no liberty and no right. The state will look after you for your best interest. Do you see how the government of the free world are slowly becoming more involved in everyday life? This is exactly what socialism is. The government becomes involved in every aspect of personal life. Today, we require a license for so many things. In Australia, farmers now require permission to farm the land they own. This is not freedom. In the New World Order, private ownership of property will be abolished. You will only own what you need. After all, this is best for the world. We need to be looked after. The United Nations goal is to reduce population selectively by encouraging abortion, forced sterilization, and control human reproduction, and regards 2/3 of the human population as excess baggage, with 350,000 people to be eliminated per day. Jacques Cousteau, UNESCO Courier, November 1991 report. When Adolf Hitler was building his power base in Germany, some people woke up and realized what was going on. Some were sounding the alarm to what they saw happening, but these people were largely ignored. Some Jews listened and left the country. Some Germans listened and left. Those who ignored the warning soon found themselves living in tyranny and wondered how it could have happened. The same warning signs are being shouted from the rooftops in Australia and America today. Yet people are too busy with everyday things to stop and think. As in the 1930s, people are going to be shocked when they lose their freedoms. How fortunate for governments that the people they administer don't think, says Adolf Hitler. Everyone who ignores what is going on will suffer for their indecision when plans and comfortable circumstances dissolve around them. Such people will be unable to avoid their fate because all avenues of escape will be closed. They will continue to be controlled and manipulated like a flock of sheep and know it not. They will be slaves, while those who have woken up and prepared both physically and spiritually will be in a far stronger situation, understanding what is happening and why. Troubled times will be upon us all, but is it not better to be informed and able to act than ignorant, confused, and lost? There is a worldwide conspiracy being orchestrated by an extremely powerful and influential group of genetically related individuals, at least at the highest echelons, which include many of the world's wealthiest people, top political leaders, and corporate elite, as well as members of the so-called black nobility in Europe. To abolish all Christians, traditional religions in order to replace them with one world religion based on the cult of man. To abolish all national identity and national pride in order to establish a world identity and a world pride. To abolish the family as known today in order to replace them with individuals all working for the glory of the new one world government. To destroy all individual, artistic, and scientific creativity to implement a one world government, one mind sight. And that kind of declaration of war from the United Nations is for the implementation of a universal obligatory membership to the United Nations, a strengthening of the UN by a multi-military and multi-police force, a worldwide justice department through the UN with an international tribunal, a worldwide new trade agreement for all nations, the end of Cold War and local wars as they are today, and the obligation for peace by scrapping all national and state constitutions. A new one world false religion and a new apostasy culture is being planted covertly, illegally for all humankind. So the goals of the New Age movement under which the United Nations operates right now are the implementation of a new world Messiah, that is an apostate counterfeit Christ. The tools of the new world order are: 1. An international army. 2. An international police force. 3. A World Bank for the economy. 4. A world government under the United Nations. 5th, a World Conservatory Bank for wilderness preservation around the world. That means all grain movements will be melded into the new international bank or disappear altogether. 6. A world religion where all church doctrines will be destroyed at the roots to be replaced by the new world religion of the ages of Aquarius. 7. The world's 7 races classification for all human slaves who will fulfill predetermined work task, whether they agree with it or not. 8. The world concentration headquarters at the United Nations for those who will not accept the new system. 9. The World Agriculture and Food Supply Control, which will control food and vitamin supplies around the world.